All right. So I'm going to do some maneuvering here, do the accepting and the administration and everything else. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. A very good afternoon to you. My name is Victor Sibeko. I'm coming to you live from Cape Town, the mother city in South Africa, on this very special morning a special afternoon, when we're talking about something very important and something very pertinent, especially in this day and age with COVID-19. This is the Africa Brand Summit number 9. So we've got these monthly webinars, which are hosted by the Africa Brand Summit, which is in its 3rd year, established 3 years ago by Mr. Solly Moeng, the CEO of Don Valley, the DM, yes, of Don Valley Reputation Managers, based in Cape Town, but he's out in Switzerland right now. We're keeping the home fires burning. And the reason why we started these webinars was to continue with the conversations that we normally have at the summit itself. It shouldn't be just a talk shop. We should go away with some topical issues to unpack with time. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a very interesting topic that is tourism, and it coincides with the tourism month in South Africa. Also, it coincides with heritage, which is one of the reasons why people travel, because we want to experience what other people go through and what they do. Now, this is not just a talk shop and soft talk that we have in this series, but some disruptive conversations take place as well, because we cannot only be focusing on South Africa and looking at South Africa, but we need to look at the entire continent and how various things impact on us. So today's topic is the leisure and business tourism and its sustainability. We've been in tourism. I'm in Cape Town today because I'm in tourism. I'm in business. After this session, I'll be receiving clients, which I'll be taking around Cape Town and showing them our beautiful country. But the question is that, does this tourism make any meaningful contribution? Before we really unpack this, we've got the panel of speakers, which I would like to introduce to you, but to do it quite well and not to shortcuts. To take any shortcuts, perhaps I should just ask them to each just take 3 or 5 minutes, just 3 minutes, just to introduce yourself, so that I don't leave anything out and I don't sound artificial by reading your resume. Madam Yvonne C. Mtengwa, may I ask you to just briefly introduce yourself, ma'am?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Victor, for a warm welcome to this platform. Solly, thank you so much for having us on here as well. It's my absolute pleasure to be joining you. My name is Yvonne Mtengwa, Zimbabwean born, currently resident in Dubai, UAE. I've lived in the UAE for the past 8 years. I am a PR and communications strategist, and I work largely in destination marketing, with my career having started in that space around 2007, when I relocated from the US back to my home country of Zimbabwe. I am also, beyond the PR and communication space, I'm also the founder of Travel Essence Magazine. A COVID baby. I launched Travel Essence Magazine last July, and it was a personal call to action to support my friends in the tourism space who were sharing lamentations across social media about borders being closed and how that was impacting their business, how that was impacting the communities that they were sustaining through tourism. And we took off, and it's been a phenomenal journey so far. I can't even begin to tell you how much traction we've made across the Pan-African space as we curate content that speaks to best places to visit across the continent, and we connect that content with expats and residents that are located in this region. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you all this afternoon.
Well, thank you so much. We're most humbled to have you. And you being from Southern Africa up there in Dubai, you're definitely flying the flag, and you're doing a sterling job. We much appreciate. Now, let's move over to Sabelo Mahlalela. Just briefly, just tell us who you are, what you do, then before we get to the real crux of the matter this afternoon.
Well, thank you so much, Victor, for wonderful, welcoming us, and also introducing us, on this panel. I want to thank brother Soli for inviting me to this wonderful discussion. My name is Sabelo Mahlalela. I am a businessman who is based here in South Africa. My really exposure to the tourism industry, I've been with the industry for many years now. In fact, when we started the new dispensation, the new South Africa in 1994, in fact, when we established the administration 95, I became part of the government officials in 1995. From that moment, I got involved with the tourism industry from that time. But later on, I've been in the corporate, for business for the, I would say the past 20 years or so. Currently, I'm running my own business, which is an investment company. It's a company called Ziya Group. And beyond just my own investment company, I also do some business outside the investment space, where I'm involved in the travel industry. Once again, I'm part of a global platform with other investors, over 50,500 investors on this platform, where we are interested really to create an opportunity for as many people as possible who can travel. In other words, making travel accessible to as many people as possible. We are using innovation and also technology, more specifically in the digital space, and also using blockchain technology just to disrupt the travel industry a bit, to make it more accessible, more affordable. We have partnered with one of the largest wholesale travel company that is providing very good, affordable packages, travel packages. And then we use innovation to create the possibility of access to travel. So I'm excited about the travel industry. I'm excited about the opportunities. I'm excited about what COVID-19, the impact it has had to fast track our thinking, to think outside the box and to come with some innovation. So I'm excited to engage on this discussion today.
Thank you so much, Baba Siyabonga. Ziya Group. Now that's my clan name. Ziya comes from Sibeko, but I'll come and claim some royalties right there, Baba Mahlalela. Now, this is a stalwart, a man that I might even comfortably say it needs no introduction when we talk about serious tourism matters. And this is none other than Ubabe Cuthbert Ncube. Baba, just briefly, intro who you are, what you do before we really get to business of the day.
Siyabonga Babu Sibeko, thank you so much. And to my brother Usoli, you decided to go to Switzerland, where I'm sure the weather is quite convenient there, or it's snoring now. Thank you so much. Yes, colleagues, thank you so much. My name is Cuthbert Ncube. As Sabelo has indicated, I'm within this tourism space. As we were actually celebrating the tourism month a few days ago in Eswatini, I challenged the minister that, especially in Africa, I don't think it's really appropriate for us to use the celebration word within the tourism space, because we have noted and realized that, look, the ground is not level as yet. Our people, they're still living in poverty. Yet when you talk about tourism, this is the continent where really one indulges himself with so much flora and so much beauty and so much to offer to the global community. So my responsibility, especially within the African Tourism Board, is to see how best we can come together as a collective, as a continent, so that we drive the agenda of getting our people to benefit from the tourism sector. So thank you so much once again to be involved in this discussion. I pray and hope that, look, time to implement has arrived. We have been talking much during the COVID-19 with all the webinars that have been going around. So now is the time for us to come up with strategies on how best can we then start implementing what we have been actually deliberating. Thank you so much. I really appreciate.
We appreciate you, Babengube, very much for your role you're playing in the industry, and for being there as well. There's a lot of other young people and new business people entering the industry, and with you in that space, we really are poised to quite learn a lot, and especially address the sensitive issues like what you mentioned. It's not yet Uhuru. It's not yet time to celebrate tourism and celebrate many other things when we have to address the real deals. Before we get to the topic and start unpacking, I think it'll be very much unfair of me not to allow Mr. Solly Moeng, President Moeng, to have a word, and then we can start having the conversation. President Moeng, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, President Sibeko. People don't know why we call each other presidents. We always explain this. So both of us used to be president of PRISA, and as Mr. President Sibeko says, once a president, always
a president.
You must always carry that with respect. There you go. And the other thing, I keep trying to make President Sibeko the face of the Africa Brand Summit so that I don't have to be there, but he keeps asking me to speak at these events. And I just want to be an audience and participate in this. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. I thank you all for being part of this journey. It's been said we started 3 years ago. This is the first time that we're doing these monthly events. I mean, for the past 2 years, we've had, 3 years really. We had in 2018 a normal traditional summit, and we had it again in 2019. 2018, we were forced to have a hybrid event. This year, we decided to host this regular, weekly, monthly events to keep the conversations alive. And I think the challenge for us this year is going to be how to put all of this into a report, because the Africa Brand Summit is not just about talking, going home. We want to put together a report. We have always put together a report that goes to people that we identify to be important to know some of the discussions, and hopefully to take them into account when they make policies, when they make investments, etc. And we've had awesome people participating in the summit from really across the world. I mean, the Africa Brand Summit addresses African issues, but Africa doesn't live on an island of its own. We are impacted upon by views from elsewhere. We are connected to the world outside. So it's always important, and it will always have to be important, that we have voices from outside of the continent. And the last thing I want to say, of course, Yvonne, Mtengwa, you should go into Travel License website and look at it. It's really impressive. It doesn't look like a product that was established last year. It's like it's been around for many, many years. And the quality of it, the quality of the writing is quite impressive. And she came on board and partnered with the Africa Brand Summit last year, and she gave us a really good publicity, and I appreciate it a lot. And we also have the Lumumba Foundation, the Patrick Loch Otieno Lumumba Foundation, which is partnered with the Africa Brand Summit. He's not always at every event, but we're in this together. He's also opened a lot of doors for the Africa Brand Summit across the continent, because he has access to lots of heads of state and other people. So behind the scenes is the Lumumba Foundation. The Lumumba Foundation is an important part. Prisa Victor has also played such a big role, and we've had awesome people participating as a result of the relationship with Prisa. So I really think the Africa Brand Summit is be more than about one person. And the last thing I would say is, so next year we're already working on hosting a proper summit. It's going to be a hybrid. I mean, hybrid is here to stay. It's going to be a bigger hybrid than we had last year. Last year we were forced by restrictions to only have 50 people at the face-to-face venue. Now we're going to look into going into a bigger hybrid next year. So with a bigger group of people, maybe 300, 400, 500 people or more at the local venue, and everybody else live streaming from across the world. The next thing we're going to be doing soon after this is to invite cities across the continent to selected cities to see if they want to host the Africa Brand Summit, because the Africa Brand Summit wasn't meant to be hosted in South Africa all the time. It's a Pan-African event, and we want it to be Pan-African. That's why it's important that we have more and more voices, and we've had them in the past. We should have them continue looking for voices who are from the Francophone speaking Africa, from the Lusophone, from the Hispanophone Africa, because Africa is really diverse, and the more diversity we have on this platform, the more African it is. It can't just be Southern African. But anyway, thank you very much. I really look forward to this discussion today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, President Moeng. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to start with Mr. Ncube.
Can I, sorry,
Yes, sir.
just one more thing. I really have to thank also, it's important that I say this. We have a team, many of you don't know, sitting in India, in Chennai, India. Now they are, I don't know, they are 3.5 hours away from all of us because South Africa and you guys, I don't know what time it is in Dubai. But anyway, this team has been helping with the live streaming from last year. And I really have to thank, they're called Crowd Product. And we owe them a lot. I think the Brand Summit, them, we want to, they are another partner with whom we want to continue growing this event and but creating opportunities also for one another, for the PRESA, for the Travel Essence, for Ziya is coming on board. All of you guys, I want you to be able to say, how do you work with the Africa Brand Summit to grow the initiatives that we are putting in place? How do we, it's about partnerships really. So Crowd Products guys, Ziya, Esai and Vinay in Chennai, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just trying to get my camera right. This camera is very jealous because I want you to see how beautiful and the buzz in Cape Town International Airport, where I'm coming to you live right here. It's all going very well. Baba Ncube, our topic for today, leisure and business tourism and its sustainability. We know leisure, we travel for fun, we want to go as families and friends and colleagues and go to the beach and go partying. And the business is where we attend conferences and events. But there's what has developed now been called pleasure. And my wife puts it so well, pleasure. It's a combination of business and pleasure. Now, we've got so much happening. But the question is that, how does African economies benefit to the extent that they should from both leisure and business tourism around the continent? How do we tap in? How do we benefit from this? Now, that's the one part that I'd like to ask. I see Mr. President would like to say a word.
I'm so sorry, really, and I'm going to keep quiet after this. I have to thank Wanda as well. Wanda is somewhere on this page.
Oh, yes,
It's
yes,
important
yes,
that
yes.
you acknowledge people. Wanda has joined again. You know what? This summit has grown. It's important. People have just, they see this thing, they say, we want to be part of it. Wanda is one of those people. She's a professional in PR, media, and she's been playing an awesome role, giving life to the Africa Brand Summit social media platforms. And a lot of what you see, the talkability out there of the Africa Brand Summit has got one direction on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Sometimes we say we leave the best for last. Thank you for bringing her up right now. And she's one of those behind the scenes lady who even refuses to show her face. But I got her offsite before the meeting. I just called her with a Zoom call. She says, I'm not ready yet. All right. In any case, let's get this going. Thanks, President Moeng, and thanks, Wanda, and the team and everyone else and our speakers. I was on the first question that we need answers to, or insights onto the question on leisure and business tourism and how sustainable is it, especially for us in the continent. Baba Ncube, do African economies benefit to the extent that they should from both leisure and business tourism around the continent? What is your take on this, and how do you see it?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sibeko. May I hasten to say that Africa is the most sought after investment and travel destination, let alone our culture, let alone our leisure, as we have indicated, our mice within the most discerning upscale market. Yes, we have so much to offer, and Africa should be benefiting. It's unfortunate to indicate from the offset that tourism was not really structured to really have an inclusion within the communities of our continent. So hence now, what we are actually advocating is to see how best we can actually rebrand ourselves as Africa, rebrand ourselves as a continent, and rebrand ourselves as the populace and citizens of this great nation. We have so much to offer. We have so much to explore. I just came from a visit from Tanzania a few weeks ago, where I have realized that their activation, especially within their economy and especially within the travel sector, the leisure part of it, it's the populace, they are so much benefiting from it. So yes, Africa is benefiting. We need to acknowledge, and we need to start appreciating ourselves, and we need to start taking hold of that belongs to us as citizens, as Africans, as the continent. So yes, there is so much to explore, and there are so much benefits that are really should be enjoyed by the citizens of this continent.
Thank you, sir. Baba Mahlalela, citizens, the communities, the business sector, and you are into investment. Why investment? That means there is something that you may have seen in this tourism. What is your take on this question?
Well, my take, Mr. Sibeko, my take on this question is that, you know, I always, as an investor or as an entrepreneur, I always look at potential. I get excited when I see, you know, underperformance or where there's a huge opportunity to grow. And I was looking at the statistics, and I look at the international travel, you know, international tourists around the world. We're talking about, the statistics tells us that we talking about over, let's say, 1.4 billion international tourists. That is really the market that we're talking about. And the question is, where are they going? You know, who actually, from which, you know, continent or region or country that harvest a significant, you know, market share from these international visitors. And I noticed that actually in Africa, we are harvesting just about 5% of that international travel. You know, if I look at the statistics, and I talk about these statistics before the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm talking about stats before then, and I don't know how much we are likely to harvest now as a continent. But if you look at 5% of international travel, it just gives us an indication, the scope, the opportunity that we have to increase our market share. You know, and I like what Mr. Ncube is saying, that we really have a lot to offer. We need to position and rebrand, position the continent so well that it is really able to attract that, or increase at least the market share, you know, to a significant, you know, amount. So I'm excited that the scope is huge for us to grow as an investor, and also as a person who loves traveling, you know, and also using platforms that are available to promote Africa, and also to really increase the you know, a market share that we can get from such a big amount. I mean, if you talk about 1.4 billion, when we have a population around the world of about let's say about 7.9 billion, about 8 billion people, you know, 8 billion population is such a big population. To harvest 1.4 billion out of that, and then we can increase our percentage. Really, it will do very well for the African continent.
Yeah, thank you, Baba. Madam Mtengwa, you are in a very specialized area. You're communicating, you're marketing, you're promoting, and look at you. You've been scooped from Africa to you, based in Dubai, and you're doing this amazing work. The work you're doing, what is it that needs to be done in Africa in order to position Africa and be like the Dubais of the world and the Phukets? What is your take on this?
Oh my goodness, so much. With the nature of my work, I always boil it down to content and information. And I think that's part of the challenge that we face in the Pan-African space. it's not us who are telling our stories. Our stories are being told for us, and they're being told for us through the lens of people that don't necessarily identify with the essence and the soul and the spirit of Africa and her people. There's the diversity aspect of it. There's the vibrancy of it. There's the values and the culture systems. And really just breaking all of that down and cutting across all the different angles. We have a long way to go in as far as dissecting the breadth of content that's across the continent. That's number one. And really and truly, 54 countries, there is so much. And I found in my journey, even with this magazine and the work that I'm doing in that space, is even us as Africans, there's a lot that we don't actually even know about our own continent. So as South Africans, do you know much about your own tourism product? As Zimbabweans, how much do you know about your tourism product? As Egyptians, as Moroccans, as Ghanaians, as Tanzanians, how much do we know about our product? And from that, from asking ourselves that question, it quickly takes us back to the possibilities of why we don't know. Is tourism accessible to our people, or is accessible to a specific group of people, right? Do you see what I'm saying? I've always asked the question about ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership in the tourism landscape. I ran, in one of my premier issues, I ran a cover story of a Zimbabwean woman who opened the first 5-star boutique hotel in Victoria Falls, okay? And it was an exciting story for me because you don't see many of our kind as African Black people that own assets in that space, right? So there's that question. There's that question of equity and ownership, all right? There's that question of access. And I'll even break it down further from a granular perspective or something that I see on the daily. It is next to impossible to find images of African people enjoying an ultra luxury experience at a game park, or we're always the guy holding the tray with the drinks, or the game driver, or you know what I mean. And so for me, as a communication strategist, all of these things are cues. All of these things are modes of communication, and everything that you see in mainstream doesn't depict Victor at such and such safari lodge enjoying a good time with his family, or Cuthbert in Tanzania doing horse riding on the beach. You don't see it. You see whoever from Russia and whoever from the UK, or whoever from wherever who are visiting Africa, right? So again, to answer your question without going into this too much longer, is really, one, content, two, who's doing the talking. I think as a people, we've got enough, and we should be so anxious to tell our story from our perspective, to really become a voice that speaks to everything from the bottom of the barrel, and as far as storytelling, right through to the top, because there's so many stories. And I get to enjoy the essence of telling the story about that gogo who does baskets, and she sells her baskets, and they're sold in the Netherlands, you know what I mean? Or a lot of the stuff, the product that we see even here in these high-end furniture stores, is stuff that's made in Bulawayo, or stuff that's made in Limpopo, and somebody comes and picks up these baskets and these carvings, and brings them to Dubai, or takes them to New York and puts a hectic price point on it. And you don't hear the story of the granny who spent a month, knitting this thing or carving this thing. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I think there's so much work that we can do in as far as not only relying on government entities and tourism boards to do the storytelling, because they can't possibly cover the breadth of content that's there. But us as African people on the continent, what are we saying about our content? Are we selling our products? Because I'll tell you this, living in Dubai, the locals do not play around. They have a national pride, and they will never talk crazy about their country. And that's why they do so well. They are brand ambassadors of their country to the 10th power. And we as a people, as an African diaspora, need to learn to do that. We need to learn to do that.
Yeah. Sure, the mind boggles. That's all I can say. The mind boggles. I said earlier on, the reason why we also like to really emphasize on these discussions is that We don't want, we don't cut corners. We call a spade, not a big spoon for turning the soil upside down. And when it comes to President Moeng, he's very passionate about being disruptive, purposely, just to get things done. Because if we treat things with kid gloves, nothing happens. Now,
Question.
yes, I'd allow for the question, then we go to the second round.
It's a bit of a disruptor, maybe. You know, I mean, I understand when the whole thing about people in Dubai not saying bad things about their country, but maybe their leaders don't give them a lot of reasons not to say bad things. I mean, we can't spin doctor. I hate spin doctoring. I think, you know, we're having a lot of what we're doing here is private sector discussions, but we need to get the public sector on board. We need those who lead Africa regionally, continentally, nationally, to try to play a more positive role in African development, especially for tourism. But a lot of times they give all what they churn out is negative stuff, and we can't pretend the negative stuff doesn't exist. We have to talk about it, hopefully, so that we keep looking them in the eye, and then so they stop. I mean, and the matter of depictions, I think is important. You're absolutely correct. We have to depict more Africans enjoying Africans like we usually depict other people who are not from Africa depicting it. Because when people see themselves in people enjoying, we depict it in ads and, you know, or stories, enjoying the products, the many products and, you know, and experiences in Africa, I think then more Africans will aspire to do the same.
It becomes relatable. I mean, look at what happened with the year of return in Ghana. Okay, look at how much press that the nation of Ghana got on account of one or two celebrities coming and just falling in love with the country, going back. This is African Americans going back, and, you know, the tourism board taking advantage of that and creating a whole campaign that became the year of the return. Right. So we're not really gonna get into the details of, okay, well, did everybody in Ghana benefit from the year of the return? That's a whole another subject, right? But the point of it is that there really are opportunities because the product is there. We have an incredible array of opportunities for us to talk about Africa, and we can't wait for a specific group of people to do their talking. And also, if you look at mainstream media, it'll always, whenever you turn on the news, whether it's the CNNs or the Al Jazeera's or the big guys, it'll always be, oh, there's no vaccines. Oh, there was poaching and X number of elephants died. Oh, you know, these fishes are dying because of pollution. You'll never hear the feel-good stories that are relatable. And I think that's where the everyday voice of our people comes into play, is that as long as we keep pushing those bits of content, that's how you build 100-year-old heritage brands. You know, it starts with that one story that is told over and over and over again, and that mushrooms into more stories, because as people are falling in love with this story, they're finding more reasons to talk about it and different angles to talk about it, right? So that's what we're finding. I think we're living in an age where there's such a ripe opportunity now, because working and living in this region, where we're the hub of tourism, number one, but also geographically, we're like right smack bang center. We witnessed Europe shut down, the West shut down, the East shut down. And so everyone was like, where are we going to go? And it was Africa. So for the first time for us, even as African people, there's such a sense of pride to talk about, you know, African people. I'm involved in so many different projects where people are stepping out and are boldly claiming their heritage, and they're doing events and curating things around that. And there's an interest. The issue is that there's not enough content out there. The interest is there. If you tell the stories, people will come. And that's the same notion of even in the UAE. They have a mantra, build it and they will come. And that's what they've done. They've built it. They've built it from nothing, from a desert into what it is today. And they tell stories about that. And so that's what we need to be looking at, you know, because the content is there. The content is there. The product, yeah, we can, you know, improve and, you know, certain things that need to be worked on. But there's a lot of different countries that are doing a great job and are becoming a leading nations that we can look at for benchmarking. Rwanda is a good example of what they're doing with their tourism space right now. You know, the examples are there as well. So it's not so much waiting for somebody to talk. We, wherever we are, can say something. And that's what we should be doing.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, there's a song that goes, "It's getting hot in here." And you're rattling some feathers. Now, I would like to go back to Mr. Ncube as the elder and the one who's been here for a while. Mr. Ncube, your opening was we shouldn't be rushing to celebrate when there's a lot that we need to look at. A very important thing is coming up here. How do we tell our stories? The art of storytelling. A very important thing is coming up here, equity. What share do we have or do we hold in the industry? Where are we? Do we want to choose to be slaves or want to choose to be masters? When we have conversation, I always say that we need to create more employers than employees. People are aspiring to work for tourism businesses or to work for someone else instead of them wanting to work for themselves. What is it, Mr. Ncube, that you think must change to ensure that Africa sustainably reaps the rewards of tourism? Mr. Mahlalela was talking about billions and billions stats. Mr. Mahlalela, also get ready to respond to this question. What is it that we need to do to change things and ensure that Africa sustainably enjoys the benefits and the rewards of this big, humongous tourism industry? Baba Ncube.
Thank you so much. Baba, in his opening remarks, Baba Usole, he said the world has become a small global village, which I have said, yes, as much as we have become a global village, but Africa has been excluded from this globalization. We need to disconnect ourselves from this dependent syndrome where we think that the best comes from Dubai, the best comes from Asia, the best comes from Europe. It is time for us to focus within. It is time to focus on ourselves in reshaping. I think Yvonne emphasized the issue of let us write our own story. Let us tell our own story. Let us revive our economies in Africa. It is our duty, it is us to market and position this haven and connectivity of the whole global community, where we need to pride ourselves with so much flora we have and most adorable heritage sites. I was surprised when I was told that just across the borders of Tanzania, they have about more than 100 islands, Virgin Islands, that are waiting to be explored. So it is up, the onus is up to us. The AU's agenda of saying Africa should unite, Africa should come together, let it not be just one of those talk shows. Yes, I totally agree that our public sector, our policymakers should be involved in these discussions, and let's challenge them that it is high time for them to stand up and make sure that they implement policies that will make things easier, accessible within ourselves. Let each and every citizen of Africa be a brand ambassador. Tell your own story. Sell what you have among us ourselves. Then we will be able to represent the global community to say, colleagues, here we are. We have reaped, we have enjoyed our pay. Come and eat with us. Come and enjoy with. But unfortunately for now, the ground is not level. We have so much secluded our communities. We have secluded those who are actually the custodians of what we have in Africa. So we need really to sit down and refocus among us ourselves. Let's break the stereotypes that have actually separated us. Let's break these borders that have separated us as brothers and sisters and start working within. I think that's very fundamental. We need to appreciate ourselves, and if we appreciate ourselves and what we have, then we'll be able to appreciate our neighbors.
Thank you, Baba Ncube. Baba Mahlalela, we've been excluded, but when you've created a platform to be included in your venture, in your business creation, in your day-to-day activities where you want to have part of this big cake in the tourism industry. Okay, how do you intend extending that that you don't keep the big cake to yourself, and you actually also in the process raise awareness and make a meaningful contribution, not only to South Africa as a South African, but looking in the context of Africa, the continent.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sibeko. Firstly, I just want to pick up on some of the points that were raised by Yvonne, and which are very important and actually form part of my response to the question. First one is that access to travel has become a biggest challenge in the African continent. In fact, ourselves as Africans, whether do we know our own products to the level that we can be able to share a story about our experiences in enjoying, these products that we have in Africa. We have a lot of products in Africa. Do we know them? Do we enjoy them? And when we have to tell the story, are we telling the story from which perspective? And that is what she was talking about, the images, that she's battling to find the images that really will show that as Africans, we're really enjoying the products that we have, that, as the owners, as the custodians of really our heritage, our own product, our own content, our history, and all of that. Now, the other issue is the ownership patterns.
Yeah.
We have to really go deeper into that space of ownership. It cannot be right that Africans in their own continent are not able to demonstrate the level of ownership that they own the products that are here, that are enjoyed by the world, as Africans. Now, I want to come back to the point of really a story that really has motivated me to go deeper into the platforms that I want to share with you. In 2010, you will remember South Africa hosted the FIFA World Cup. We as a country encouraged a lot of South Africans to really have products that can be enjoyed by the visitors who will be coming. A lot of our South Africans invested in establishments, whether it's B&Bs or accommodation facilities. But what was painful was that they even having invested in these products, they were not able to manage the process of the flow of these visitors. They were never able to arrive at their establishments. So the issue of the flow of visitors, the route to establishments becomes important. In other words, if we do not have control in the mechanisms of how people make bookings and how people are able to arrive at our own establishments that we own, we will not be able to benefit from this industry. So the issue for me is that what is the platform that is used to secure the market? In other words, if you talk about source markets from other countries around the world, who makes the booking? And how is the booking being done such that in the end, these visitors will arrive at your own establishment, at your own B&B, at your own lodge, at your own hotel, at your own accommodation facility, at your own, even use your transport facility to really take them to all the places that, of interest. So I am saying that, Mr. Sibeko, that I really want to go deeper into the platform that we have created, which we believe is going to enable access to travel, but also not only access to travel, but also in an affordable manner. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution era, where really technology innovations are the most important things that we have to look really seriously. And I saw that our sister Wanda was asking a question about what is the technology implication in this discussion. And really, I want to go into that, Mr. Sibeko, if you give me just to focus on the innovation and technology and really, because that is a very serious subject that we need to look at seriously for Africa.
Go ahead, Mr. Mahlalela, respond to that question on the impact of technology. Yes.
All right. Okay. So basically, what we are looking at here at the moment, we really believe that there is a case for using the latest technologies that are available in the marketplace. A lot of people are talking about your blockchain technology, for instance. That is really disrupting various industries, or at least making other industry efficient. We believe that there is a case in the travel industry to have its own travel blockchain, a platform that will enable us to maximize the benefit. In other words, to optimize, the transactional cost. Or let me put it this way, to minimize costs that are normally incurred by intermediaries. If, for instance, we have a platform where, as a customer, I can be able to make a booking, a direct booking, where a supplier can be able to provide that product, but using technology and applications that are available, as opposed to many other intermediaries that needs to be really paid before I can even enjoy a service or a product. If we use technology at the point of transaction, we should be in the position to realize more benefit that can be passed to the end user, to the customer, as a benefit, so that the product that they buy is really affordable and is really easy to access, and therefore increasing the possibility of access to travel, because that is the biggest issue. You know, the traveling is very expensive. I'm not only talking about traveling in our own country, in the continent itself, but the more we make it easy, the better for us, and the more we make it affordable, the better for us. The second thing is we are looking at a platform that we're able to increase a customer base, that we have access to a customer base, that we will be able, to be able to have direct communication, direct marketing to the customer base that is there. Unlike when you do not have control over your customer base, you are not able to be able to promote, or even the products that we have in Africa. Can you imagine if we have a customer base that we have access to, let's say, for instance, a 10 million customer base that is in your platform? We will then be able, we have captured a market that we are able to share and promote, and really the stories that can be written by people who are qualified in writing good stories, and then be able to tell the story and target that market directly to promote our own destinations. So it is more than just the financial side, but it's also the promotional side that we can maximize.
Thank you. Well put. Okay. I'm not going to dilute that, but I'm just going to allow President Moeng. You had raised a hand. Please weigh in on the discussion.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to be. We talk a lot about the need for Africans to tell their own stories, but what does it really mean for Africans to tell their own stories? What stories? How many stories are there? I mean, I think there are many Africans who are telling stories. Yvonne, you tell a lot of beautiful stories through. A lot of people use your platform to tell a lot of beautiful stories on that. But we can't have a situation, because it's impossible, where only Africans tell their stories, whatever that means. I think that we must just encourage or create more opportunities for more people through platforms such as hopefully the African Brain Summit, the Africa Brain Summit, Travel Essence, and other platforms. I think Mr. Ncube's African Tourism Board is also creates awesome opportunities for people to tell stories that are credible. People don't. I think everybody's. There's a lot more to Africa than stories. I think there are experiences. I think we should sell awesome African experiences. Okay, maybe there's a story behind every experience, but so that the stories that come out of us, out of Africans broadly, are so compelling that people just want to be part of them, want to experience them, want to spend money into them. But I don't think that we should say, don't tell that story. It's mine. I'm African. You can't tell that story. The world doesn't work that way. We must just be more innovative in telling our stories. Use the technology to tell stories. Make it really, really exciting. Because I fear that sometimes we think that people are not giving us a chance. No, we must take the stuff out. We must just stand up and be more assertive. But we're not assertive enough. We think that the world is so unfair on us. I'm tired of being a victim of an African. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be an African like you guys who stood up and said, you know what, let's go to Dubai and do this. Let's do this. Ziya is doing awesome things. Let's be more assertive. Let's be more innovative. Let's use technology to be awesome, because we have it in ourselves to be awesome. I really honestly believe that Africans have it in themselves to be awesome. You don't need anybody's permission to be awesome. That's my belief.
Yeah, no, thank you, President. Now, Madam Yvonne, we're talking stories, and the stories you tell are those that are very, very, very compelling, and those that are really attractive, and they make us really want to spend the money, whether we like it or not. What lesson you think Africans can take from the brilliant work that you're doing, and the moment of brilliance that the destinations that you are servicing, like Dubai, are reaping the benefits from? What lessons should Africa draw from the global COVID-19, from tourism, the tourism growth, before we get into COVID-19, and how we can tap in that space?
That passion will speak for itself. I will say that, in the beginning, I shared a little bit about how it was a personal call to action to start this magazine. I've worked in the PR industry for a couple of years in this region, and I've obviously done some massive campaigns with great international brands, and I'm on the cusp of seeing what it takes to build, global brands that people are constantly talking about or putting their money on. I've worked on really cool campaigns. I actually pinch myself in some instances to say, wow, this girl from Harare is literally working on these type of projects, and it's been a good time for me. For me, it's been largely driven by, it's just a sheer heart to make a difference. And I think what we need to know as African people is that we all literally have a unique opportunity every single day to make a difference. I work with a cross-section of people from across different nationalities, different races. And, when you have a spark about what you do, you'll attract another spark. And a lot of the stuff that I put out, it would not have been possible if there wasn't any passion around how I did the pitching for the stories. And also, on the other side of it, the stakeholders that are willing to share what their product is, what their product looks like and where it is and their story. If you flick through the pages of Travel Essence magazine, a lot of our content speaks to homegrown brands. I think you've got big platforms that have been around for many, many years, and are so big that, the stuff that the content they curate speaks to maybe the high net worth bracket or a specific niche of readers. And I wanted to create something that would make the notion of travel relatable. And what we do is we speak to people, and we also content curate around destinations, but using a brand by brand approach. So whether I'm speaking to somebody on a hotel chain's expansion across the region, or I'm speaking to a general manager for a small lodge that has 12 beds in it, the essence of what we do is to really kind of bring everything down to granular level where whether you're in the industry or not in the industry, you can relate to the content. So that's what we wanted to do differently. We also approach it from a very visual perspective. I think we have to be in tune with the times. We have to be in tune with the very fact that social media has sort of taken things to the next level and has given everybody an access to an opportunity to curate content. So I don't have to be a great writer to be able to curate stories. And that's why you've got the rise of influencers, and Africa is a little bit late to the influencer train. Influencers have been around for a long time. It's somebody with a great camera who knows how to take great poses, and then they post it, and before you know it, they have a followership, right? But beyond that is, okay, I've taken a great picture, but what does that picture even mean? What's the message behind it, And so for me, that's sort of where I think as people, we have to understand that there's a lot of power in what we're able to do. With just this little smartphone, we can do a lot with it. With the conversation that we're having here, I can already, in my head, if I wasn't engrossed in paying attention to the points here, I would easily be, sharing content on my pages and driving people to follow the conversation, because that's really what it's about. It's sharing, right? It's sharing. The more of us that know and are conscious of what's happening, the bigger the opportunity for us to grow the message even more. And so my encouragement really just to our people is to not downplay our capacity to make a difference, whether you are that receptionist in a big hotel chain, or you worked your way up from being a waiter to a general manager. That's a whole story that will empower our youth, that will encourage our high schoolers to pursue a career in specific industries, because they see people like us, everyday people. We shouldn't have to wait for the CEOs or the American mega personalities for us to actually think we can achieve it. I think passion goes a long way to opening doors, and it's sort of worked for me. I sort of show up in the room, and even if I don't know something, you will never know that I don't know. You never know. I will show up in that room and I will schmooze, boy, and then, get the information that I need, or ask the right people the questions. Just be like, oh, I didn't get that. What does that mean? And we have access. We have access to information. We have access to content. Let's educate ourselves, so we actually have an opportunity, a unique opportunity to tell things from our perspective.
Wow, that's quite a mouthful. Now, passion keeps coming in, and I just see passion when you talk about what you do. Mr. Ncube, Madame Mtengwa uses the magazine. I may take you and put you in the league of the BBT, the Born Before Technology. And I may also take you and put you in a little box where you want people who want to see things, tangible things. Do you think the use of about tourism in Daba, Africa, what travel in Dabas and the works, does that work? And where do you see us changing the whole thing and the approach and bringing tourism back home and start tapping into what we call community tourism, encouraging those mamas and babas who have B&Bs and those who spend their money, pension money and the packages? Where do you think we can start stimulating and bringing this home for people to be part of the beneficiaries of tourism industry?
Thank you so much. I've been discussing with the Minister of Tourism in Ghana, whose focus is embedded on the domestic tourism, the community-based tourism, to say, colleagues, our hotels, why should we have all your beddings coming from China? Why do we have to have all your utensils coming from Asia? Yet here we are in Africa, we are able to produce these dynamics that will assist in the value chain of tourism. So there is so much to explore and there is so much to share. Unfortunately, I still believe that we need to disconnect from this dependency syndrome. Africa has so much to offer, and Africa has so much in store. It's unfortunate that it hasn't been shared with our communities, who are, by the way, as Ubaba Sabelo indicated, that these are our custodians of our heritage sites. So we need to start appreciating them. We have noted, especially with so much disgust, that there is a lot of bullying going on around, especially in as far as Africa is concerned, which is, by the way, a wake-up call for each and every leader of our member states to start saying, look, colleagues, let us really refocus. Let's synergize. Let's try to make Africa one of the strongest empires. We have it all, colleagues. We have it all. So we need to appreciate and we need to make sure that our communities, community-based tourism, which is very essential. Once you create a brand among us, your populace, they then become your brand ambassadors. You are actually cementing your sustainability within the sector. You are also working towards building a solid economic base within our nation. So it's fundamental importance. Yes, your Indabas and your WTMs, they play their pivotal role, but we need to transcend and go beyond that. Technology that is actually came handy, we need to use technology. When you're doing your bookings now, it's technology. I mean, you just go on your app and you start tapping in. And we are saying, as well as African Tourism Board, we want to see more of the inclusion of our people in Africa. Most of these sites, these are foreign sites. Where are our brothers and sisters? Are we not able to create those sites that will enable us to make life easier for a business traveler, for a leisure traveler, so that we are able to just to tap in and do it ourselves? Let's shift away from the dependence syndrome.
Can I just jump in and just throw a bit of spanner in the work on those points?
Go ahead, go ahead, madam, go ahead.
I think it's important that we also look at, from a perspective of the industry players, the private sector players, are they getting the support that they need to be able to do the work that they do? And I ask this question because I think it's a point to ponder. A lot of our content in speaking to a lot of these small business owners that are running maybe a 20-bed boutique lodge in this park or at this beachfront in Zanzibar or whatever, it's really compelling to see how much of their resources and their revenues they put towards sustaining the communities in which they operate. It's really amazing to see this owner who is creating a fish farm that will sustain the people that are working at the lodge, and the aunties and the grannies that are working in the lodge are the ones who are also knitting the covers that will go in the rooms for the lodge. There's the farm to table ethos, the community within that, and there's a whole ecosystem, a vibrant ecosystem that they're doing, but they're doing it out of the benevolence, I feel, of their own hearts to be able to sort of make a difference, right? I just wonder if they are getting the support that they need from a bigger institutional perspective, government or public sector, the tourism boards, because, with tourism boards, we pay all of these monies to this fees and that fees and this fees. But, the question always begs for me is, if the tourism boards are not doing much by way of promoting the tourism agenda from a national perspective, and I really speak this earnestly and from experience, where you're literally speaking to a team of a tourism board and they are confused. They don't even know why you're saying the things that you're saying, but it's basic. It's quite basic, And so I just wonder that with the soldiers that are in the trenches, and I'm using the word soldiers that are in the trenches because these are the ones that are preventing poaching. These are the ones that are putting together anti-poaching units, and they are bringing women together to become, the first women-led anti-poaching unit in that park and that park. And those women who are anti-poaching units, their children are being put in schools. But you know what I'm saying? Where are the bigger guys in the field of tourism? Where are the tourism boards and the national institution of this and the national parks of that? I would like to hear more from them about what they're doing, because when you speak to the private sector players, it doesn't always sound good. It sounds like they're just, doing what they can because they know it's the right thing to do, but they don't have the support where it should come from. I could be wrong, but this is my experience in those stories, in that story, finding stories and sourcing stories.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask Babe Mahlalela before I pose the question raised by President Moeng. Babe Mahlalela, promotion of tourism and the tourism industry and destinations through magazines and online, and promotion of tourism and tourism business through platforms such as Tourism Indaba, WTA. You are into investment in tourism. Do you think there is attention that is paid to the tourism businesses and tourism investment? Does it enjoy any support from the existing business forums that we have? Does it have a voice? And if it doesn't, or if it does, how do you think that can tap into a space where they can start inspiring others to want to invest in that and learn more about how they can best position themselves within the tourism sector? Baba Mahlalela.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sibeko. I would say that my observation is that business really tend to fight its own battle with a very, very less practical, actionable support that even comes from the public sector. Yes, you hear a lot of good support in terms of a lot of very good statements that are being made. Everyone is speaking the right language in support of what is it that has to happen. But at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, we find ourselves having to fight our own battle because we have no other option. We have to make it happen. Otherwise, we have nothing. We're really going to be in serious trouble. Let's look at particularly, just to illustrate the point I'm making. I indicated the stats and I said there are about 1.4 billion international travelers. Africa is only getting about 5%. I'm talking about before, that is just these stats before the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm talking about what normally is the practice. We're harvesting about 5% of 1.4 billion international travel. I'm talking about the African continent. You can see how small that percentage is in comparison to what is happening around the world. We are talking about 54 countries in Africa. We share that 5%. A lot of countries, they don't even see a significant amount of visitors, international visitors coming to their own country. Now, in a specific country where even a small percentage out of that 5%, how is it distributed to the level where that community-based tourism product owned by that community will have a chance to benefit from the economic benefits of the people who are coming to the country? You can see that there is so much that really is not being done that needs to be done. There is so much that I talk about at the end of the day as an entrepreneur. If you have a product as an entrepreneur, you want to understand the market. Access to market is important. Here we are talking about business tourism. Here we're talking about products that needs to find an expression accessing the market that I've described as 1.4 billion people. What is the route to market? How do we ensure that the products that we produce, whether it is that community-based tourism that we are talking about, find access to this market? What is the route to market? If we do not address the route to market, we can produce as many products as we like, but they will never be consumed by the market because we have not determined and defined correctly the route to market. And how do we really, now the question, and these products largely are in the private sector, are in the business sector. We invest, we put investments to produce the product. But do we have the right route to market? Have we, is it been left only on us as entrepreneurs, or the government will create an enabling environment to ensure that our products are able to reach the market? The question that you raise is very important. Do we get the support that we need, or the support is there but is misplaced or is misdirected?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, there's a very interesting question on the wall, on the chat wall. I can read it. Maybe there are people who are on mobiles who might find it difficult to read. It's from President Moeng, who says, is the marketing of tourism to and across Africa too uncoordinated, done in a competitive national silos? Is there an opportunity for a level of geonic marketing of broad African experiences, even if individual countries can still continue to market themselves in a competitive way? How about a Pan-African tourism promotion fund into which different countries could contribute a small percentage of their national market budget? Wow. Mr. Mahlalela, I think you're going to be the first one to weigh onto this. And furthermore, Mr. Moeng says, would a structure such as the African Tourism Board be a custodian of such Pan-African generic tourism marketing fund, which I doubt if it will be a good idea, because when you look at the boards are controlled and they have some link with the government. But anyway, I'll leave that to the panel to respond to. Right, Mr. Mahlalela, please weigh in on this question.
I think there is a case for a certain degree of coordination at the African continent level, and I think that an institution like the one that is led by Mr. Ncube is very important, at least to have a certain degree of coordination. We understand that each country has its own tourism board, and they have been given the responsibility to market their individual countries as their own, as a tourist destination. But somewhere there should be a mechanism of coordinating at least brand Africa as a brand, where at least at a very high level, we're able to say as an African continent, as a destination, we are the world in one. I'm just using the concept that we have so many diverse products that really creates the world. But we are a brand as an African continent, as Africans ourselves. We are a brand, we are Africans. I see my sister Yvonne is an African. I am an African. I mean, I see, you know, everybody, we're Africans. Why is it that we cannot build on the common things, the things that make us common, that unites us, than to deal with the things that divides us? So somewhere I think there is a case, I believe. Yes, individual countries must continue to do their own individual country promotion, etc. But at some point, at a higher level, there must be that kind of coordination. And so far as the fund is called the Pan-African Tourism Promotion Fund, I think there is also a case for it. It's just there's a lot of things that has to be managed in terms of how that fund can be really, put to use. But it's an interesting question that you are raising, Mr. Moeng. But I think that we have to explore the idea of brand positioning, Africa brand positioning as much as possible. And perhaps we can start really see the synergies among the African countries.
I think Yvonne is getting ready to shoot down this idea. Look at his smack.
All right. Okay, Yvonne. Okay.
Go for it.
Come on, sis. Go for it.
No,
Chip.
you know
Get
what?
it,
I'm
get it.
actually having a think, but in my head I'm thinking, okay, because it's hard for me to explain without calling out certain countries, right? Which is not ideal. But how do you, ask a country that is incredible in as far as having a tourism attributes and assets, like for example, SADC, for example, which is really rich in safari and wildlife, and so everybody's flying from wherever to go on that safari, right? And then in East Africa, they're all coming for the beach experience and the coastline of Kenya, Zanzibar, whatever. And then you ask this lot with and the ones with the assets to put money in a pot with the ones that are shooting guns, and there's chaos and these political warfare and all kinds. I think for me, it's if 54 countries is no joke, friends. It's no joke. Okay. And in those 54 countries is the diversity of the tribes and the cultures and the dialects and all of that, right? So if I am Zimbabwean from Harare and I want to showcase, Shona culture, and then there's my brother Cuthbert, who's maybe from Bulawayo, and they've got Kami ruins and all of that. Like, I think it's important for us to look at where we are first and how well we're doing, number one, before we start getting into trying to complicate things when we haven't even figured out the basics of the entities that should be doing this. Are they doing it effectively? Like where we are we effectively promoting Africa before we even start talking about a pot that we are putting money in? Because you put money in this pot and
So you don't trust Africa. Okay.
That pot. No, it's not so much a trust issue. I think it's a practicality issue. And I think it's about understanding just how in a broad and a continent we are, and how diverse a continent we are. There's just so much to cut through across every part of the continent from a national perspective first, before we even start going regional. But having said that, there are other countries that are doing well, like the East African bloc, for example, Rwanda, Uganda, and I think Kenya. They've got like a 3-country visa system where you can go here and do things with they've got cool little things that they've got going on, to the point where people know, okay, if I want this type of experience that is high end, I'll go to this country. But if I need something that is similar, but it's not as expensive because the tourism product or the infrastructure is better, I go here. I think that's where, the work that we do comes into play. That's where the storytelling and the promotional aspects come into play, right? Is to be able to showcase the differences. Like for me, I could tell you which beaches across the continent are better and why, because, and what kind of beach are you looking for? Or I could tell you, there's so much stuff. I mean, do we even know how many UNESCO World Heritage Sites are across the continent of Africa? There's over 150, 140, almost 150 that we, that we as Africans don't even know where some of them are. South Africa has almost 10. That do we as average South Africans know which ones they are and can name and start churning out content on it? Is it something that needs to be taught in schools? Is it something that needs to be taught from the perspective of people in business in the tourism sector? Because how do you sell a product if you don't even know what it is? So I always kind of go back to that granular level, because we can say all of this and talk about a pot of money that we throw, but how will you then dispense it, I guess, is the better question, because everyone will always feel like, I know, but our elephants are better than yours.
All right. I like your response. And this is calling for a further discussion. Do you really put money there? Can you really put money there? That's another discussion. President Moeng.
Perhaps we should give Mr. Ncube a chance first, and I will explain why I made this proposal.
Okay, you'll notice that I've got my mask on now because I was taking this live from international airport and the police said, "Hey, where's your mask?" Now I've got my mask on and I also get the privilege to show you around and see what's happening in Cape Town.
Wow.
There's live here and people are sitting here. They're having their snacks. I cannot wait to have my steer burger and chips after this meeting. Yeah, Mr. Ncube. Bravo.
Thank you so much. I think what stands out for Africa is our diversity. We need to appreciate that. Unfortunately, we have been so much brainwashed to the extent that we prefer a spirit of segmentation where each and everyone does his own thing. We need to see a synchronized approach. Yes, 54 countries or even 24 countries, it's not a child's play to bring them together. But may I hasten to indicate that as African Tourism Board, we have had quite a lot of good inroads, especially in bringing ministers, those are the policymakers, together to say, colleagues, let us speak with one voice. Let's start now to pollinate among ourselves. And next week, we've got a massive tourism expo in Arusha where we said, no. We want to see ministers supporting those initiatives. The regional board, they must actually be able to come and support. Yes, it can be done. And we are glad that some of the policymakers, the governments, they've realized a need for us to come together as a bloc, as Africans, and start shaping our destiny. No one will do it for us. I have indicated that we have noted a lot of bullying from Eastern powers to say, okay, that's fine. That country, let us flag it as a red flag. I mean, it's not safe for destinations. But in essence, Africa has it all. And we thank God, even the pandemic itself, when you look at the trends, Africa has been spared. So therefore, we need to start to appreciate and let's do things our own way. I mean, my brother has indicated, rewriting the story. We need to reshape ourselves. We need to reshape our destiny and start talking among ourselves. We have actually challenged the African Union to say, colleagues, look, when you look at the policies that are well crafted, but they are not being implemented, we are only looking for a few good men, few countries. You have to start somewhere. And from there, we're definitely going to build a solid foundation that will actually achieve our agenda to make sure that Africa unites and also our communities, they appreciate what we have. And we want to turn them as brand ambassadors to represent the continent, to represent our cultures. So we need to start somewhere. Let's appreciate, let's build it from there, slow but sure. If there could be a fund that could be initiated, the better it will make things easier. We will find people to govern those funds. So colleagues, it is doable. It is doable. We can do it. Yes, East Africa, they have demonstrated. We have seen, trading among us one another, opening up the borders, easing up the issues of visas. That's what we want to see. And we need other regions to learn from those countries who are doing it well. So yes, it can be done. And the honor, it's me and you in this platform. Let us start somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
See
Mr.
why I
Ncube.
love this man?
Yeah.
You see why I love this man?
Yeah. We've got 4 minutes to go, but there is no way
Yeah,
I can leave this out. A very interesting input from Siviwe Ngwana. He says, it's on the wall. You can also read for yourselves and just start thinking about how you're going to respond to these. He says, I'm busy working on an initiative with Kenya through their High Commissioner to coordinate us as some small medium enterprises in tourism to create a collaborative intra-regional collaboration between SADC and East African country to promote, market, and sell the entire Eastern African seaboard community in tourism as a single domestic market, with the African diaspora having an appetite to reconnect with their roots in Africa, like the year of the return that we spoke about in Ghana. We are really missing the opportunity to be the single most popular tourist investment region as Eastern Seaboard of Africa. Mr. Ncube, you've just spoken to this. And I think when we talk about investment and SMEs, we're also talking to Mr. Mahlalela. I'll leave it up to you. Each one of you, please take a minute to respond to this. We've got 3 minutes to go before we wrap up.
Can you say a quick thing?
Yes, sir.
Just a quick one. First of all, I like the viewers project there. Look,
yeah,
I truly believe that we need to think out of the box, as Mr. Ncube is saying. We need to, in the same way that we're talking here, this platform is called the Africa Brand Summit. We have the Africa Free Trade Agreement. We have also African, maybe we should stop talking about this because we're dreaming, right? Everybody must just go off and do their own thing. I think we should be aspirational in our action. We should say there is a possibility. I truly still believe that it's possible to create a small fund with a generic team that says to the world, not to even to the Africans, actually, come to Africa. This is what you can do in Africa. It doesn't have to promote so that promotional fund and campaign could sweep across the continent in a 12-month period. Come and experience our beaches. Come and experience the desert. Come and experience culinary style. Come and experience the arts in Ouagadougou. Come and experience this. So you could have a generic promotion of Africa. This is what you can do in Africa. And then it's up to African country to say, but this is what you do in us, in our region, in our country, etc. So I don't see why it should be so impossible to have a generic promotion. The world speaks of Africa. I'm here in Switzerland, and people say, "Oh, you're from Africa," and I keep saying, "Yeah, I'm from Africa, of course, but I'm from South Africa specifically. But I'm from Africa, okay? So I'm here. I'm wearing this. I'm African, and Yvonne, you're absolutely correct. I haven't seen all of Africa. There's still so much to see for myself and for all of us in Africa. But we can talk about beautiful, diverse, rich, awesome Africa at the top, and each country must say, but this is the part of Africa that we specialize in, that we can be known for. There's no conflict there.
Maybe it's a case of a niche strategy as well for each region to be able to effectively promote what their USPs are. Because
Sure.
you know, it's that's how you sell what you have, is understanding where. So if for example South Africa has lots of trade opportunities and that's their thing, and let's take away tourism aside, but trade is your thing and it's ease of business setup, it's ease of doing business and whatever, maybe it's that, you know. Maybe if it's tech, and we know ICT, East Africa is doing its thing, that's an opportunity to attract investors and speak to the techies of this world and the Silicon Valleys and saying, listen, invest in East Africa because we are doing a lot by way of tech and trying to sort of, you know, compete and benchmark ourselves on the continent. Maybe it's that, because I think at the end of it, and even as marketers, we know this, that before we sell anything, we need to be able to break it down at granular level. What are we selling and what are the USPs, right? What is the value proposition? So perhaps there is a real opportunity where whatever this fund looks like could be less generic and more targeted, I guess is the best way to say it. To say, okay, well, these are the countries that are rich in oil and gas. So if you're trying to invest, or if you're coming for business in this sector, they've got commercial, you know, vessels and infrastructure to be able to support this, that, and the other. Perhaps that's the conversation that needs to be happening, you know, to add, you know, to extend and keep, you know, keeping the discourse going. I don't know.
Okay.
Wow. President Moeng, I think I've just asked Siviwe to drop us an email. We will need to follow up on this initiative and see how far it goes. We've got Mr. Ncube, we've got Ubabe Mahlalela, we've got dearest sister. I think we need a follow up on this. We'd like to see something going, something established. It shouldn't be just talk. We want to, if it means we bring this topic to our summit next year, live, real, and see it happening, so be it. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to hold you further than the scheduled time. I've got guests coming in at 1:30. I need to go and meet and greet and start my tour of Cape Town from today up until Monday. I am just promoting our beautiful city, the mother city, Cape Town. Mr. President, I would like to hand over to you. For me, I'm done, I'm cool, I'm happy. I would have loved Madam Wanda to be the one that does the wrapping up and hand over to you to do a vote of thanks. Wanda?
Maybe she could. I don't know. Where's Wanda? There she is. We can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm saying you guys always do this to me.
Yeah. Throw you under the bus. We'll rescue you. Don't worry. We love you so much.
Thank you, Victor. I think this is a very important discussion and definitely a follow-up is needed. Some of the key things that came about is the question of integration and coordination and positioning. As we go out into the world, we've got one Africa, but there are many different stories, as Yvonne has said, within that one Africa that we could unpack. So I'd like to hand over to Solly and say, definitely there's a question that's been raised. What do we do come 2022 in May when we have the Africa Brand Summit, edition number 5? So yeah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we should not just talk about stories. We go on about stories. I think we should also talk about experiences. People who travel want experiences. People don't come and say, "Oh, I saw this story. I was with this." No, come on, do this. Travel is about experiences. People go to places to have an awesome time, to play, to do stuff they don't do where they live. So we must talk about the variety of African story experiences. There are many of them. I know it's an African thing to say stories, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Let's talk about experiences. People travel, they will spend money on experiences. They want to bungee jump, they want to go shooting down the mountain on whatever they want to. We have awesome mountain cycle experiences in Cape Town. MTB, I'm a mountain cyclist. It's awesome. We don't talk about those things. And there's a lot of money that's made in those areas. We should just how do we package the variety of African experiences? Anyway, I agree that this topic deserves to be onto the program next year. We are working on the program for 2020, slowly getting there. And we have to talk about it. It's one of the staple discussions. Africa, bringing tourism to Africa, growing the MICE sector in Africa. How do we get Africa to earn a bigger slice of the global? It's a very lucrative MICE pie because especially given post-COVID, there's going to be a lot of competition. People are more afraid to travel. There are all sorts of COVID, what do you call it, passports, conditions for people to travel. People are going to say, do I need to go that far? Can I just do stuff on Zoom? But you can't do everything on Zoom, right? So there's going to have to be very innovative in getting Africans to think out of the box, to getting people to say, you know what, there's no way that I can do this without traveling to Africa. And so, we have to have more Africans, more brothers and sisters from across the board, of all races and colors. Africans are not just black people and brown people like us. We should get the diversity of Africa to be part of this awesome discussion. Thank you guys for being part of this. Thank you for making the time for this. I hope that you continue to be the broader, bigger family of whatever you do, everything. It's not about the Africa Brand Summit only. It's about what you do, everybody else. Your product must feel happy to be associated with the Africa Brand Summit under the stewardship of Wanda and Victor Sibeko. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It's been a great afternoon already. I really enjoyed it. So much insights, so much to take home, and so much to really make a follow up on and bring it into fruition. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, let me take the opportunity to thank you for your time. It's been a great afternoon. To those that attended on Facebook, it's good having you there. We are going to download this video and upload it to the Africa Brand Summit website. So we will also send you the link. Have yourselves a pleasant afternoon. Mr. Ncube, thank you, sir. The stalwart, having you is such a pleasure. Madam Mtengwa, your passion and your glow when you talk about this topic is amazing. Mahlalela, you are the next Patrice Motsepe in this space. So we look forward to investment. We'll buy shares. Please just set up all those equities and how we invest in that. Mr. President, what would we without you? Thank you for putting this together. You're the brain behind this, and we are the wind behind these wings. Much appreciated, and have yourselves a beautiful afternoon and a lekker weekend further. I'm going to be having a good time in Cape Town. Cheers.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Cheers, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.